Hey guys, Channel MST here. Today I'm going to be bringing you a deck profile. Today we're going to be covering Dino Rabbit. So to start off, we have the 3 Dino Rabbit and the 3 Saber and the 3 Kaba. This has kind of been the standard that's been established. Originally, before the deck kind of topped YCS, people were doing like 3 of these, maybe 3 of these, maybe like 3 stars to get Leviair off, and then go for Rabbit again and get 3 4 stars. So yeah, basically people were testing it out, and then YCS came by, and then this became kind of the standard. We also have the 3 tour guides and the 1 Sangan to get Sangan out and to get Rescue Rabbit. Also a tour guide to get Leviair to combo with the Rescue Rabbit. We also have, for the other monsters, we have 3 Jurok Waba. This card has kind of replaced Hydrogeddon because it only has to destroy it by battle, and it doesn't have to send it to the graveyard, because Hydrogeddon had to destroy a monster and send it to the graveyard. So Raikou could just kill Hydrogeddon, and Hydrogeddon wouldn't get the effect, whereas Jurok Waba could attack Raikou. Raikou could still kill the Guaba, and you can still get Guaba's effect. So that's pretty good there. Also, it combos with Macrocosmos, and also if you attack DD Warrior Lady, for example, and the monster gets removed, the monster gets removed and Jurok Waba gets removed, obviously, then this effect will still happen. So either way, so basically it doesn't have to go to the graveyard, which is another big thing. In addition to all those, it has 17 attack, whereas Hydrogeddon has 16 attack. Moving on, we have the hand traps. We have 1 Gorz, 1 Veiler, and 3 Maxx. The Veiler and the 3 Maxx was kind of set up in the plant era, so this was the standard there, because plants obviously special summoned a lot. So Maxx was kind of really good against them because it left them in really awkward positions. Right now, Maxx is kind of good against Dino Rabbit and good against windups, but Insectors are also a big deck in the meta. So Veiler is a lot better against them than Maxx is, because Maxx only gets you like you just draw 1 card, so it just helps you to deck thin. That's about it. It doesn't give you any pluses. Whereas Veiler can actually stop their strategy. So I've seen a lot of YCSs where this is kind of changed, and you have maybe 2 Veilers and 2 Maxx, or 2 Maxx and even 3 Veiler is what I've seen. So maybe you drop the Gorz, put in a Veiler, something like that. Moving on, we have the spells and traps. We have 1 Book, 1 Dark Hole, 1 Heavy, 1 Mind, 1 Monster Reborn, and 1 Avarice. The Mind Control is kind of the only, one of the iffy ones for the 1-ofs. But it combos with the tour guides to make rank 3s, and it combos with all the 4s to make rank 4s. It also combos with the Veiler to get synchro access. And then also on the spells, we have 2 Lance and 3 MST. I do 2 Lance and 3 MST because I think MST is a more standalone card. At late game, it can do 2-for-1 trades when they MST or MST, and then you MST another card, so you get 2-for-1 trades there. Early game, when they set 1 back row to not play into the Heavy Storm, then you can just MST the 1 back row and then go off. So I like it that way, and because it's more of a standalone card, that's why I'm doing 3 MST and 2 Lance. A lot of YCSs have had 3 Lance and 2 MST. And don't get me wrong, Lance is a very broken card. It combos with Dalka, Jurok Waba, so it's a really great card. It's just that I kind of like the fact that MST is more of a standalone card, and that's why I'm going with more of that. The other 1-ofs are kind of self-explanatory. Then for the traps, we have 2 Fiendish Chain, 1 Mirror, 3 Solemn, 1 Starlight Road, and 2 Torrential. The Torrential doesn't really combo with the deck that well, except for Tour Guide into Zen mains, and then you can Torrential and then use Zen mains effect to pop a back row during your opponent's in phase, for example. Other than that, though, it's pretty good at just basically clearing the field. So we have 3 Solemns. We're not really worried about life points because we're not running skill drains or anything else that takes up life points. Also, this is a control lockdown deck because it tries to, with Logia and Dalka, control the board. So Solemns kind of help with the control aspect of it. We also have 1 Starlight Road. Starlight Road's pretty good with Rabbit because if you go into Saber or Kaba and they go Torrential, then that's good there. And Torrential's now at 2, so that's more likely to happen, so Starlight Road becomes better there. It's also good because Heavy's back in the meta, so before, I think last September, or whenever it was, when Heavy wasn't in the meta, Starlight Road wasn't even being played because of that. But now with Heavy and now Torrential at 2 and Dark Hole, you kind of see it a lot more. Also with Rescue Rabbit going into Saber and Kappa, they can bottomless, and they can bottomless both of the monsters since they're brought out at the exact same time. So you can also Starlight Road there too, so it kind of helps you against when they side in bottomless or if they main the bottomless. The Mirror Force is just, it's pretty good. It could be a D-Prison, or it could be a 3rd Fiendish Chain. For the Fiendish Chains, yeah, this could easily be 3. It's a very great card. It stops effects, doesn't matter on the attack of the monster. If it's 1,000 attack, it still can do it. So it negates things like Tour Guide. It negates things like BLS. It negates wind up effects. Insectors. And Insectors are kind of the bigger threat because we don't really, with only one Veiler. This kind of replaces, the Veilers and gives us more of a push against the Insector matchup. So this is very good, and it can easily become 3, by getting rid of the Mirror Force. Okay, so moving on, we have the side deck. We have 2 Cyber Dragons for the wind up matchup to get into the Chimera Tech, also for Karakuris. It's also good against the anti-meta decks. Moving on, we have Snowman Eater. I've actually sided this a lot against 6 Samurai, mostly because they don't run Musakani as much, it seems like. So you can set this, they attack, and you do a 2-for-1 trade with their Sheehan because the Sheehan took 2 monsters to create it to Synchro Summon it out. So it's also good against the Mirror, obviously, because of Logia. It doesn't negate this. Next we have Spirit Reaper. This is mostly for stall, I guess, in the Mirror match. And then next we have Thunder King. This is good against pretty much the meta except for Insectors, so Windups and Rabbit. This can usually be sided in because it stops the Factory for Windups and also stops their Exceed monsters. And with the 1900 attack, it can pretty much get over any Windups. And Smashing Ground for the Mirror. I've also sided this against Monarchs. When you use Macrocosmos, they can't do their Frog, so if they go Battle Fader, you can actually just Smashing Ground the Fader or Smashing Ground a Monarch when you want to bring out your Logia, so that you don't just they don't just tie out next turn with their Monarch that they have on board. And then Bottomless and Deep Riz. I've been trying both of these out just because like pro players tend to use Deep Riz, but I have seemed to find Bottomless be a lot more useful just because of the speed. Because by the time when they start going off, you can actually do something about it, whereas by the time you activate Deep Prison, they've already gone off, and then now they've entered their battle phase. Moving on, we have Macrocosmos. This was originally Dimensional Fissure, which was used to counter the meta when plants were around, because it hurt Maxx C, it hurt Veiler, and it also killed their plant tuners. But now that plants are extinct, you now have Windups and Insectors, and both of those don't really get hurt by Dimensional Fissure because Windups, they can exceed with Hunter, and then when they detach Hunter, it does go to the graveyard if Dimensional Fissure's on the board because XYZ materials are not considered monsters on the board. And then also with Insectors, Hornet is an equip card, so it's not considered a monster, it's considered an equipped spell card. So Macrocosmos changes it so now that any card is sent to the graveyard would be removed from play instead. Hornet, instead of going to the graveyard, would get banished, so it can't even use its effect because I think its effect requires it goes to the graveyard. And then Windups, you stop their loop because Hunter would be banished, so they couldn't do anything about it. So this has replaced Dimensional Fissure in that way. Next we have Royal Decree. This is for the trap heavy decks, the Chain Burn, the TG, the other anti-meta stuff. Moving on to the extra deck, we have 1 Chimera to combo with the Cyber Dragons and, just combo against machine decks. 1 Catastor for the Veiler with any level 4, also with Mind Control on any of your opponent's level 4s. 1 Scrap to combo to do Gorz and Veiler. And then Stardust for the Starlight Road. Then for the Exceeds, we have 1 Emerald because of the Pot Avarice effect is really good in this deck, so having a Pot Avarice to be able to shuffle in your normals. 2 Dalkas, 2 Logias, 1 Lavalval Chain, and then 1 Utopia for the rank 4s. And then for the rank 3s, we have 1 Zen Mains, 2 for tour guide plays and to combo with Torrential and stuff like that. 1 number 30, which has been actually really good. If your opponent, runs Skill Drain, you can pull out this, and it's just a 3,000 beater with 3,000 defense, which is really good. Also, its effect doesn't actually come into play until 2 turns after it has been on the board, so you get to attack twice before you have to worry about taking 2,000 damage. So it's not like it's a great monster with great attack but a horrible effect. It's actually a great monster with great attack with an effect that needs to be watched. So basically, you need to play at the proper time in order for you to really get uses out of it. Usually in late game, if your opponent has like a BLS or Hyperion or something, you can usually bring this out. And then we have Leviathan for the 25 beater that can become 3,000 if needed. And then Leviair to combo with the Rabbit. I only run 1 Leviair just because on Dueling Network you're not really going to have the mirror as much. There's going to be a lot of random stuff. Also, on Dueling Network it's like everything is drawn randomly. And usually it seems like at YCSs and stuff people draw these more and draw these more just because of the density and the weight of them because they're both secrets. And there's obvious shuffling techniques that can be used to get these to be drawn better. So I don't tend to get that combo off as much, and also I don't tend to play the mirror, so having the tour guide doesn't necessarily guarantee me having a Rabbit. So having 1 Leviair actually is not that bad in the deck, and I haven't really had a need to put 2 in. So yeah, so that's deck for now. Any questions or comments, please please post, and then I can read over them and possibly make updates. I've also been playtesting a lot, so I'll probably make updates that way too. Channel MST signing off.